So we can now bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, good to see you. This is effectively a spectacular fall from grace for a former French president who one day was living in the Elysee Palace to now going to stay in prison for couple of weeks, let's just assume. Sarkozy alleges he is an innocent man. The former president, as Clovis was telling us, is due to pen his experiences of being in jail. Politically speaking, I'm curious, is Brand Sarkozy dead?
I think everything depends on the appeal. He is to appeal against this sentence. If he loses the appeal, I think it's hard to say. You know, politics moves on quickly. Even somebody with the political force of Nicolas Sarkozy, things might be very different when he emerges from a real lengthy prison sentence. If he wins on appeal, he will re-emerge an even bigger hero in the eyes of his supporters. And I think what's really interesting about Nicolas Sarkozy, if you're looking from the outside, is the impact he has on France. He is much more than one of a series of presidents. He was such a divisive, polarizing
that's the word
figure.
I was going for, yeah.
Exactly. He is adored by his supporters and loathed by those who, his detractors, in equal measure. And it is a bit like the Margaret Thatcher, Donald Trump scenario, only in that sense. I wouldn't try to compare them in other ways. But they are very, very divisive figures. However you look at it, he is a man who has a certain force about him. If you agree with how he used that force, then you think that's good. That, again, depends on which side of the fence you're on. But he does undeniably have a sort of animalistic political force about him, which is more than most ordinary presidents. And I think that is important to get across. It's not the case for every president. He is also like Thatcher and Trump in that, having left office, it has left his own political party in a state of sort of disarray. Some of them think he's the best thing that ever happened to the party and we must find another Nicolas Sarkozy. Others think we must move on. He was damaging to our political party. So, he's a very divisive figure. Now, if you look at what is the brand Sarkozy, there are, he was in power for 5 years as president. There are some key, I think, moments in his life which have defined him. I think we have a list of those. Number one is that style that I've already talked about. He's abrasive or straight-talking, if you like, whichever side of the star you're on. The other thing is, when he was 38 years old, he was mayor of Neuilly, a wealthy suburb of Paris. A man with a mental illness took nursery school children between 3 and 4 years of age hostage. And this was a really defining moment in his career, because while the interior minister handled this largely through telephone calls and his offices, Nicolas Sarkozy, who was mayor of the town, went down into the school and took a very hands-on approach to the negotiations, emerging with 4 children. He put himself in danger, that is not denied by anyone, by going into the room where the man had explosives and emerged with 4 kids, and eventually all the children were released. His detractors point out that he made sure there were television cameras there and that it was very much magnified. But however you look at it, he put himself in personal danger. The third defining incident there is scum and power hose. He will be forever remembered. He was president of the Republic and he used the word scum to describe delinquents in parts of the suburbs of Paris where there's a high crime incident. He said, I'll get rid of these with an industrial hose. People thought that was outrageous. Financial crisis with Angela Merkel. He was very responsible for steering France through that. He raised the retirement age to 62 from 60. That has not been repealed. It was an important reform, even though it was decried at the time. None of the succeeding presidents have chosen to go back on it. And he was the last president who managed to push back the far right in France. Now, his detractors will say that's because he was on the far right. He was very tough on immigration, very tough on law and order.